What's poppin', y'all? It's your man DJ Steph Floss here with episode 6 of Friends of the Program. I would like to refer to this one as the Corona Teen. Yes, the Corona Teen podcast episode. Everyone knows what's going on right now, so I felt it was pertinent. I felt it would be very beneficial to have a friend of mine on the program that is in healthcare. And she's actually in healthcare, one of the most esteemed hospital and facilities in the world, Cleveland Clinic. Her name is Rebekah Moore. I'm about to get into it because she has some virtual meetings today in like the next 45 minutes. So I'm about to call her. We're going to get down to this COVID-19 situation and see what she has to say about everything that's going on right now. And let me bring up this phone call. All right, let's see how this is going. All right. Of course, now that I want to call her, it's messing. All right, here we go. So loud. That ring is so loud all the time.
Hello?
Rebekah, how are you?
Steph, I'm good. How are you?
I am good. You sound an amazing spirit right now, especially what's going on in the world. How are you? How are you feeling?
I am feeling all right. We are all taking this one day at a time. Today was my first day seeing patients with a virtual visit, so doing telehealth instead of in person. And we're all just learning together today. So,
all right. So Rebekah, before we get into that, we're going to have some fun. So what I like to do to start off my podcast is have some icebreakers, get the world to know you, me get to know you a little better, even though you're a great friend of mine. Oh, and then I have to tell everyone how we met. And by the way, our meeting story is amazing. So first question, what is your being that you are from Cleveland, Ohio, what is your favorite restaurant in Cleveland? And I'm asking you that because you're probably going to have to get a lot of carry out and takeout from that place soon.
Yeah, this is true. So one of my favorite places in Cleveland when I'm eating local would probably have to be the Indian place down the street from me, Indian Spice.
Indian Spice.
Indian Spice on Euclid Avenue.
I haven't really delved too much into Indian food. Like there was a time like last summer or summer before last where I was doing heavy like curry and stuff like that's Indian, right?
Yes.
All right, I liked it. It was tofu, but I'm trying to cut out soy out of my diet, so I got to figure out, maybe I'll try it. I'll try it just for you. All right.
So Indian is great for vegetarians and vegans because they actually have a lot of options that don't include tofu.
I like it. Shout out to the Indian community. Actually, side note, one of my favorite new shows on TV, Bravo, I watched it last night. It's called Family Karma. It's about an Indian family. So, that's just what a coincidence. All right, next question. What series on Netflix are you currently watching?
I am currently watching Money Heist.
What is that?
It's originally a Spanish TV drama. Then Netflix picked it up, but it's people who are heisting and robbing a bank, but all about their drama and their relationships and planning the heist.
So is it like subtitles or what's going on?
No, it's dubbed. So it's actually dubbed in English.
Does it?
But they did a good job.
I was about to say that sounds ridiculous. I don't like dubbed stuff. It's going to look ridiculous.
I don't either, but it's actually good. I don't know. Before that I was binging Schitt's Creek.
Oh, okay, I heard about that.
That's another good one.
That's another. You know what I'm watching right now on Netflix?
What are you watching?
Of course, I'm always watching Cars and Comedians and Cars Getting Coffee. But there's this Grace and Frankie. Are you hip to Grace and Frankie?
I am not hip to. I have seen it on my trending list, but I haven't watched it.
And you're gonna be surprised that I love this. But I actually somebody told me to watch it. I'm in season 1 right now. I love it. It's about 2 older ladies that were married to these 2 men, and the men divorced them to marry each other. And when I say each other, I don't mean they switched wives. I mean the men are now marrying each other. So these 70-year-old ladies have to deal with their 70-year-old husbands coming out of the closet and now want to marry each other. And it's like in their latter years. It's such a good show. So
that sounds fun. I'll have to check that out.
All right. Who's your favorite Sesame Street character of all time?
Definitely Elmo.
Why? I mean, that's so cliche.
But he's my favorite. He's the most fun, and he kind of gets to do everything. Everybody else has their own segment, but he's all over the place all the time. He's having the most fun.
He's not more fun than Oscar the Grouch. Have you ever seen Oscar the Grouch's house? Like, have you ever seen when they went inside of there? He has like a pool, a sauna, a basketball court. He's like living the lavish life. He comes off.
Okay, I must have missed that episode.
Yeah, you gotta watch it. He comes off as a little homeless, of course, because he's living in a trash can. But you know, when you go in there, it's immaculate. All right, so you worked at Dairy Queen up until like yesterday.
Up until maybe like 2012.
All right, so you were at Dairy Queen. One thing that I regret that I've never done. Everyone tells me how good the Dairy Queen hamburger is. I never had a chance to eat it before I stopped eating meat. Is that hamburger really the best hamburger on the market?
I mean, for someone who doesn't really eat a lot of fast food hamburgers, I would say, it was all right. I don't eat McDonald's hamburgers at all, but I would eat the Dairy Queen hamburger on occasion. Yes.
So you would make it?
I would not. I know. I made the ice cream.
There were different stations in Dairy Queen. Like if the ice
cream.
Yeah,
like other people worked in the kitchen. I just made the ice cream.
It doesn't seem like that big of an establishment for there to be that many workers. It seems like you should be able to flip burgers as well as pump the ice. It takes 3 seconds.
Pump the ice cream.
It takes 3 seconds to pump an ice cream machine.
Okay, so you go work at Dairy Queen and try that out and let me know how it goes.
Well, I mean, who knows what's going on right now? DJs.
I know.
We're gonna have to find some other employment soon. All right, who is your favorite? I'm watching the Kardashians right now as I ask you this question. By the way, I love this family. I love the family. I love their family dynamic. They love each other. They support each other. They argue like regular, but it's so much love in this family. Anyway, who's your favorite celebrity? Of all time.
My favorites. Oh, I thought we were going just Kardashians.
No.
My favorite celebrity of all time.
Yes.
I don't. You're throwing these curveballs at me.
That's the point.
I know. Favorite celebrity of all time would probably have to be Ellen.
Ellen
DeGeneres. Yeah.
I like Ellen. I like her story too. So I was watching, like I said, on Netflix, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I love that show too. But Comedians in Cars Get a Coffee, and I had no idea that there was a moment in time where she wasn't working for like 5 years. When she announced that she was gay, that she couldn't get a job, and that's why she ended up having to start her own talk show or whatever. And guess what? That worked out perfectly. So shout out to Ellen. Hopefully, me and you could get invited on the Ellen. I just started a TikTok page, so maybe we could do a dance or something and get invited on the Ellen show. No,
she's just so great. Like, I would just love to have coffee with her and catch up.
And catch up like you know her, like y'all been knowing each other for years. All right, so everyone, but Rebekah is a great friend of mine, but I met Rebekah maybe in 2011, 10 or 11. So I, as you guys know, I'm the official DJ at the Cleveland Cavaliers, whose season is now suspended, which means we didn't not make the playoffs. I say that. We didn't not make the playoffs. So shout out to the Cavs, and big shout out to Kevin Love for what he's doing for the Quicken Loans Arena employee, as well as Dan Gilbert, and making sure that we're all compensated as if we're still working during the games. But so I met Rebekah. She's her family's season ticket holders. So she comes up to me. Of course, she's a fan. DJ Steph Floss. She comes up to me during the game, her and her sister, and you guys came. What did you come up there for initially?
I think we just came to say hi.
They came to say hi, and they were so nice, and I was like, oh, like, and then they wanted to take pictures, and I was like, oh, look at these kids, like, they were like, it's so nice, like, and I love to like show love to the youth, so I'm like, let's take a picture, like, and they're like, at the time, I'm thinking they're like 14 years old, so I'm being like very like adult and kid with them. And when did I say something about you being 14?
I think that day. The next time, I don't know, a couple weeks later.
But I'm like, yeah. So I think she might have mentioned something about going out or something adult wise, and I'm like, hold on, you're not 14? They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I thought you were 14. You come up here, y'all look like y'all 14. Y'all talking about y'all work at Dairy Queen. Y'all want to take pictures. You're definitely 14. She was like 25.
22. 22.
It was the greatest. Oh my God. But ever since that point, she's been one of my great friends. She's amazing. I really appreciate you. Every year for my birthday, you make sure you're there in some capacity. So I do appreciate that. And we had a ball this last birthday party. I still have to, you know what I'm saying, send you pictures, of course.
Thank
But
you. Yes.
as we continue,
Everybody heard that. Steph is going to send me those photos.
I am. Everybody knows me as like a photo hoarder, but we're gonna have some time now, so I think I could get everybody their pictures. I set up everybody Dropbox accounts. So
Okay, great.
as we continue on, before I called you, I let you know everyone know that you are in the healthcare field, but I really don't know exactly what it is that you do. So what do you do?
Sure. So I am a genetic counselor and I'm specialized in the cancer field. So what this means is that I either meet with patients who have cancer or even people who don't have cancer but have a lot of cancer in their family to order and coordinate genetic testing that can then help with treatment or increase screening. So thinking about like Angelina Jolie and the BRCA genes, that's just one example of what I can do.
Oh, that's amazing. You're like that's a long way from Dairy Queen.
I know.
That is a long.
That was back when I was 14. We've come so far.
We've come so far. So, you just moved back to Cleveland. You're working at a Cleveland clinic, right?
I do. Yeah.
So you were in DC. Were you doing the same what you're doing here? Were you doing that in DC as well?
Yep. I was working at a hospital in Northern Virginia. Yep.
Okay, so you work at Cleveland Clinic, which is, I always tell people it's the #1 hospital in the world, but somebody gave me like a exact number, said it's #2. It doesn't matter to me. To who though? To who?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Let's just say we're
debatable.
Yeah, it's debatable. So, with you working at Cleveland Clinic, and one of the great things that I just saw that Cleveland Clinic did like last week, maybe Thursday. So we're dealing with the COVID-19, the coronavirus epidemic right now, and there was talks of testing and how it was taking 8 to 10 days for test results to come out. And I guess Cleveland Clinic filed for something on March 2nd, and they were awarded this something. And as a result of what they were awarded, they were able to figure out how to give test results in 3 hours? What is it?
Sure. Okay. So I'll help you out here.
Thank you.
Previously, anyone who was being tested for COVID-19, their tests were either having to be sent to the CDC or some place that have state laboratories that were running the test. And so you're losing a whole day of shipping samples, running the test, and then finding a way to get the results back. So the genetic test, or not genetic laboratory, but the testing laboratory that we have at Cleveland Clinic that allows us to run a lot of different tests in-house already was given approval to run the COVID-19 test. So the COVID-19 test, it's running on the same assay as the CDC, meaning we are running the exact same test that the CDC is running, but we don't have to send it out. So Cleveland Clinic did partner with UH, and so all local COVID-19 tests will be able to run at Cleveland Clinic. And again, the test itself takes 8 hours to run. They're seeing results in about 8 to 12 hours, so the samples can get from the patients to the center. But then results are being released immediately via MyChart if people do have that. So it saved a lot of the turnaround time of the before and after of the test.
And that's amazing. And what this sounds to me is that Cleveland is going to end up saving the world. That's what it sounds like to me. We get a bad rap on a lot of stuff, but I can see Cleveland and Cleveland Clinic especially saving the world right now. So Rebekah, thank you for that info, because as you can see, I was totally messing that up. But I had the premise right, correct?
Yeah, you had the right idea. Yep,
I had the right idea. So exactly, what is COVID-19? What is it?
So it's a virus, and it's a similar viral strain, from my understanding, as what caused the SARS disease and outbreak back in 2003, but it's just a different strain. So just like we have different strains of the flu every year, this is just another strain of what causes a respiratory infection. Kind of the big thing, the big concern with this is that it's pretty severe, especially in the elderly population. And again, we don't have a vaccine for it, which means no one has immunity. And the second piece being we don't have any treatment for it. So again, even like the flu, get your flu vaccine, everyone. But even if you were to get the flu, we do have treatment to help your body recover faster. So we have no immunity for COVID-19 and currently no treatment. And so, yeah, we're all just kind of riding this out together.
All right, so you said it's a different strain, like, of SARS. So is that, I was going to ask you, when people mention, and I've seen people even post things from like Lysol cans that says coronavirus already on them. When people mention that coronavirus has been here forever, is this what they're referring to? Like, so COVID-19 is a strain of coronavirus, is that right?
Yeah, coronavirus, my understanding, that terminology has some, we know it causes upper respiratory. So SARS was a coronavirus. COVID-19 is a coronavirus. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. That makes sense. All right. That totally makes sense. So,
and then, I was just going to say, going back to this definitely has been around longer. I know in Governor DeWine's press conference yesterday, Dr. Acton mentioned that the first person in Ohio who tested positive had been symptomatic since February 7th. Again, there maybe were even some people earlier who were showing symptoms, but we didn't know what COVID-19 was and we didn't have testing for it. So again, this didn't even just come to America in February. We likely have had some cases before that as well.
Very true. Now, you may or may not know this, but I want to know, do you know it? Where did this come from? Because I've heard stuff. So I'm over here Googling, trying to figure out stuff. One thing I heard, it came from like a fish market overseas, maybe in Asia, derived from there. Then I seen something about some bats and some bat soup. Do you have any idea? Do we have any idea?
I don't know if we know. Definitely the first major outbreak and epidemic was over in China. But I don't know necessarily where that originated. And again, we know that it's popping up in other parts of the world as well. So I don't know the answer.
All right. So what does the COVID-19 do to the, and is this how we should refer to it instead of saying coronavirus? Should we say COVID-19? Yeah. All right.
Yep, so COVID-19 is the specific strand that we're fighting now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what exactly does COVID-19 do to the body? Well, first, what are the symptoms?
Yep. So, the hard part with COVID-19, since we're still learning about it, is that we definitely know that some people will carry it and be asymptomatic. And so that's one of the main concerns.
Can you define asymptomatic?
Yeah, no, asymptomatic means nothing. You are healthy, but your body may have this, your immune system may be fighting it off, and you could still then be able to spread it to someone else, even though you're not symptomatic. So then the symptoms to look for are that it is definitely more of a respiratory. So a cough, and not necessarily being congested and, coughing, but a dry cough, a shortness of breath, a lot of pain, and a lot of people do present with fever as well. So this is even separate from the flu, which is a lot more kind of aches and pains. You can still have a fever, but again, it's a little more kind of congestion-like symptoms. Okay. Where with COVID-19, you're also going to have a sore throat and things because it's a dry cough. It's not a productive cough. You're not coughing anything out.
Oh, nice. So if I cough over here and it's not dry, I shouldn't be too worried, huh?
Correct. The other thing would be, right, it's allergy season, and so a lot of people's allergies are acting up. So again, if you have the watery eyes, kind of the clear drainage, and you typically have allergies, that's likely going to be kind of top on the list instead of COVID-19.
Because there are a lot of hypochondriacs out there, and I'm one. My mother's one, and now every time I cough or something like that, I'm like, oh my God, like am I all right? But as long as it's not dry, and yeah, you gotta, like you said, you gotta realize it is allergy symptom season. Excuse me. Back to how do you pronounce it? Asymptomatic?
Oh, asymptomatic just means no symptoms.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a good friend of mine, an NBA star, Donovan Mitchell. You want to hear a funny story? Not even a funny story. This is a real story. So Donovan Mitchell, he's he was playing alongside of Rudy Gobert with the Utah Jazz, and that's kind of how I started to take it all of this seriously. Once Tom Hanks got it, COVID-19, and then Rudy Gobert did what he did, and NBA got shut down, and then Donovan Mitchell tested positive for it. That's when it really got serious for me, when the NBA shut down. But so Donovan, I was on my birthday tour, so Donovan, I landed on Monday, and I didn't do the Cavs game that Monday. The Utah Jazz were in town. And I landed, and Donovan, he had messaged me, had texted me, and you asked me, was I in town? And I'm like, I just landed. He asked me, was I coming to the game? And I told him I might come. I was just checking to make sure. Then I started to checking to make sure he was good. Like, did he need me to bring him anything? He was like, no, he just wanted to see if I was going to be there. And if I was there, come holler at him. And I told him, well, I might just stop through the second half since I just got here. I want to get situated, and boom, boom, boom. And then something happened. I just got tired, and I was traveling, so long. I got tired, and I didn't go.
I was tired just watching you on Instagram. So,
right. But do you know how? Oh my God! Do you know how nervous I would be right now if I would have went to that game? And I definitely would have wanted to see Donovan. Like you know how nervous I would be right now. I've been thinking about that the whole time. Like, oh my God! Like the way my nerves are set up, I'm like, sheesh. Like I'm kind of like grateful for myself that I got tired, because even if I did test negative, I would still just be like worrying myself to death. And Donovan actually just posted a video not too long ago talking about how he's asymptomatic, and how the scariest thing was that he could be around and no one knows that he has it, but he has it. So
yeah.
So in a situation like that, what is can you take Theraflu, or what are you doing? Like what do you,
well, I mean, no, and that's why social distancing is so important. And I know everyone has heard that buzzword thrown around right now. But the big thing is with this, until, we are able to test more people, we don't know who has it and just isn't showing symptoms, and who doesn't have it and is unaffected. And so, again, the major concern is these people who are unaffected, asymptomatic, who are infected, then who might they be sharing that with? And so that's why social distancing is so important. We are not, at least currently as of 11 p.m. on March 16th, we are not under quarantine. You're not forbidden from going places. But again, trying to get you and us from gathering in large crowds. And I was supposed to be at March Madness this weekend, and all of, the St. Patrick's Day parade is closed, and
do you
all
know
of
how
these
much
things.
money I lost? Do you know how much money I lost when they stopped March Madness? I had some parties and stuff to do in Indiana. Oh my God. Uh-oh. See, that's see, hear that? You see, I cough, now I'm nervous. No, but
Good thing I'm through the phone.
Oh, good thing you are. Now with the social distancing, so basically 14 days, what will happen? Will it just remove itself from your body?
Well, they think right now that 14 days is kind of the time period where you could be contagious and infecting other people. Okay. And so that's why people who have traveled from countries with this higher, where we have that travel ban from, now anyone coming in from there is supposed to kind of self-monitor and quarantine for 14 days to make sure that they don't show up with any symptoms.
All right, so that's great. And airports looked ridiculous this past weekend with that.
Yeah.
It looked like, oh my God, it looked like it's just set up for failure. But we'll talk about that in a second, and how our government is handling this situation. But my biggest concern from day one, and I guess it was like day one was probably like Monday for me, or Wednesday or whatever. Why is our only defense wash our hands? Like, why is there nothing else that we could, like, that we're being told to do? Why is wash our hands just the only thing right now?
So, I mean, again, we don't have a vaccine and we don't have a treatment, but washing your hands is actually really important. So I'm going to put my scientist hat on here. Okay. So if you remember, I don't know, way back in high school biology, there's kind of like proteins and lipids and all of these things. So the virus actually has what's called a lipid layer, and that's what protects it and helps keep it safe and able to keep infecting people. Soap actually breaks through the lipid layer by whatever magic chemicalness that it is. So it actually then is destroying the virus. So that's why, we have all these antibacterial soaps, is because they really are kind of destroying and stopping things from spreading.
Can you also speak on moisturizing? Because I know I made a mistake. You saw my hands. I posted it.
I did see your hands.
I had been over washing and I have been forgetting to put lotion on it. And then I was told that it was like that's actually dangerous too because cracked skin is like open skin and the pores are open. And
Yep.
so we need to
Yep.
moisturize as well, right?
So super important. Yep. So again, I work in healthcare. Washing our hands and foaming our hands and using the antibacterial stuff is kind of second nature, just because of interacting with patients, especially in the cancer world, patients who are immunocompromised. But yes, you cannot forget to moisturize. Definitely you want to try to find, I'm sure there's still, lotion and moisturizing out there. So get that. But yeah, you're exactly right. Then by keeping your hands moisture, so right, they're clean, they're now safe, they're not cracking, they're not getting dry, they're not flaking, and you're not putting yourself to be prone for an infection of another type.
All right. So if you are not around soap or whatever, how good and how effective are the Purells of the world? The Purells,
Yep.
the Equates, the whatever.
Yeah, so the standard guideline from the CDC is that you want some sort of alcohol-based, whether it's foam or just like regular liquid Purell, that's going to be 60% or greater alcohol. And my understanding is even when I pulled my little Bath and Body Works Purell out of my purse this week, and it meets that requirement as well. So I think most of what we have access to here in America is going to meet that requirement. The recommendation is, of course, to wash your hands as much as possible, but especially after using the bathroom and before eating or touching kind of a dirty or possibly infected surface. Hand sanitizer is better for like when you sneeze or cough or, are somewhere and don't have access to soap and water at that point in time. So definitely kind of use both in conjunction as you can.
So you should just keep washing your hands like this, even if you're not around anybody?
Well, I mean, like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know your life, but like if your house is fairly clean, like you don't need to wash your hands every 5 minutes or every time, you pick up your phone.
Right.
As long
That's
as
what
you
I'm asking.
disinfected your phone, like I reminded you to.
Right.
No. So in those cases, if you're touching surfaces that are clean, it's a matter then of after you've deep cleaned, keeping things clean.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
So
again, washing your hands then when they're dirty or when you've sneezed into your hands, things like that.
You know what? I haven't sneezed or coughed into my hands in years. I always do
Excellent.
I do like the forearm, the muscle cough where you cough into
Like the
your
elbow
bicep.
and the arm.
Yeah. I've been doing. I don't understand how people haven't been doing that. Like I thought that was like a common thing, or
it should be.
or which might not be as good. Sometimes I do the cough into the shirt chest. Like I'll pull my neck collar. Is that good? It's better than the
I don't know.
hands.
Then it's better than the hands, but then you just cough those germs all over yourself. But, then it's not really going to be spread as easily.
Perfect. So,
but no, I agree. The elbow for our elbow bicep, cough and sneeze, if possible, is kind of the best route to go.
Let's call that the Steph floss. Can we term that the Steph floss or no?
Sure, the Steph floss sneeze procedure.
Thank you so much. Now, you've been telling me, and I've been posting your stories on my IG story, what Cleveland Clinic is doing as far as, is that drive up testing? Can you let us know exactly what is Cleveland Clinic doing to deal with this COVID-19?
Yep. So like we talked about before, Cleveland Clinic, their laboratory has, been granted that they are able to run the actual same COVID-19 test that's available across the country here. So one of the main things is they don't want all of these people who are sick and coughing to be showing up to the urgent care or the emergency department, where again, then there are other people who are there and sick for other reasons that now you could possibly be infecting. So the Cleveland Clinic team and UH, so interestingly, the Walker building is a joint building between Cleveland Clinic and UH, and that's where the testing is taken place. It is open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day, but you do have to have an order. So right now in Ohio, you have to be symptomatic and either have traveled internationally or already tested negative for the flu, is my understanding, to be able to get an order. But
where would you get the order from?
from your doctor. So speaking from a Cleveland Clinic perspective, that's the only healthcare system I have insight to. They're encouraging people to either call their primary care doctor over the phone or do one of our new virtual visits. They've ramped up and have extra provider coverage for all of that, and they'll assess you over the phone. So again, you're not having to come in to the doctor's office. And if you do meet criteria, they can put that order in for you, into your electronic chart through Cleveland Clinic that then can be accessed when you get to the drive-through testing. So, interestingly, one of my neighbors did have corona testing on Saturday. So that's how I had a little bit of insight about how long the line was taking
Nice.
and things like that. So good news is she tested negative. So
nice.
Very happy for Allie. But yes, it definitely expects to be waiting in line for upwards of 2 hours. They're getting through people as fast as they can. But you sit in your car, your windows are up the whole time until you pull up, and they basically have you roll down your window. They swab your nose with the swab, roll your window back up, and you get to drive home. So,
wow.
They're really
quick?
trying to limit exposure. Well, you wait in line for 2 hours, but the test itself is just like 30 seconds. Yeah.
I thought they were like drawing blood in order to get this.
Nope. All done just like a swab, like you would for the flu.
Well, it sounds like Cleveland Clinic, as well as Cleveland and Ohio, is doing a pretty good job of being proactive. Kind of reactive as well, but being more proactive than a lot of places I've seen. What do you personally think? I know you've been watching CNN just like I've been watching it. How do you think our government and your president is responding to this crisis?
Okay, first of all, I did not vote for him, but as the current president of our country, I know a lot of this is hard, right? So he was even saying that it wasn't that big of a deal a couple weeks ago. He recently was exposed and tested. My understanding was his test did come back negative. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the fact that he fired a lot of the epidemic and pandemic kind of crisis planning team.
Why would he do that? Why and when did he do that? When did he do it?
Look, I don't know. It happened either in 2018 or 2019.
Okay.
So I'm not really quite sure what's going on there. I am going to use Ohio as a great example. Again, we have our Republican governor who's helping make these decisions. But again, he's getting a lot of support.
Captain Planet. We got to call him Captain Planet now. Mike
DeWine is Captain Planet.
It's Captain Planet. Like, do you
okay.
like? I love how he's doing what he's doing, and how he's responding to the situation. And I was watching him on CNN, and it looked like the toughest decision he had to make yesterday, but it had to be.
To be done.
All right,
and the important thing is he's not making these decisions on his own. So he, hand selected Amy Acton to be the medical director of these decisions, and has another team. He's getting bipartisan support. So Democrats and Republicans in Ohio, are helping and supporting. So yes, he's the face of all of this. He's kind of making the final decisions, but he has a great team behind him, who again have been in place for more than just 1 or 2 weeks. So it really goes to show how being prepared and planning can be really helpful. And I actually have a friend who is the COO of a nonprofit locally here in Cleveland. And she says, for her emergency preparedness plan, she had electrical outage, she had tornado, and she's like, pandemic was at the bottom of my list. And I'm like, well, it's supposed to be. Like, pandemic isn't supposed to be on the top of your planning list unless you're a hospital or Department of Health. So, again, keeping in mind places like Cleveland Clinic, University of Washington, out in Washington State, Johns Hopkins, other major centers, we're prepared for this. And again, just following with what they have. And I think Ohio has done a great example, like you said, of trying to be proactive instead of reactive.
And I love while I was watching his presser. It was difficult for him to, he was stuttering, which he doesn't do often. So I knew it was like, I really don't want to do this, but I have to. But one thing that I thought was hilarious, which I was aggravated at over the entire weekend, and me being a DJ, if I'm aggravated, and as much as I like to party and go out, then that's a problem. I couldn't believe people just wouldn't sit down and not celebrate St. Patrick's Day or not go out and do all. It's like people were just like, yeah, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I'm going to party with my friends. I'm going to go to these clubs and get packed out and share bottles and all of this. Everything opposite of social distancing. And a lot of people didn't repeat what Mike DeWine said, but he said one of his friends actually sent him a picture, and I think he might have said it was from Cleveland, of a packed bar or club this weekend. And I think he saw that picture and was like, you know what, guys, that's enough. Since you're not going to do this, like you're not going to socially distance yourselves, we're going to, pretty much have to, do this for you guys. It sucks because, there are a lot of small businesses and, restaurants and bars in the Ohio area that, are going to take a hit. But we're all going to take a hit. So, like I tell everyone, as much as you can do, carry out and take out, and, order in. As of right now, please try to, support those local restaurants and, things of that nature. And with me saying that, Rebekah, there's a presser at 3:30 on CNN from our government. Do you think that a nationwide lockdown is about to happen?
I don't know. So I can see that it's going to be happening sometime in the future. As to is that what is going to be happening today, I don't know. So one of the other things is kind of with these slow rollouts, so kind of closing bars and nightclubs now. Schools are already closed. He mentioned closing daycares and nursing homes in the future. Hospitals will probably at some point, be canceling appointments as well. Is that you kind of can't shut down everything at once. You've got to do it a little bit at a time to be able to have people the support they need. But I would not be surprised. I know Italy's on a not even city anymore, but a full country lockdown. Yeah. And if that's what it takes to help keep people from being sick, that's what we have to do. And the earlier we implement some of these things, the shorter, the closed restaurants or the first quarantine has to be.
Have you been seeing my posts from my Italian followers? They've been sending me. That really hit home. I was like, yo, and these are people I don't know. So I don't want people to be following me on IG like these are no, I don't know these people. They saw me talking about it. They're in Italy. They're Italian citizens, and they're like, yo, this is what's going on right now. Please let the American citizens know this is not a game. If you don't do it yourselves, the country is going to have to do it. And I think we're gonna get around to that. Before we go, because I know you have your virtual appointment very soon, but a couple more things I want to discuss with you. How do you feel? I hate them, but what do you feel about conspiracy theorists right now?
Oh, no, see, you're just making it worse. I, again, work in healthcare. I'm pro-vaccine. I have this conversation with my mom all the time that vaccines now in 2020 are different from in 1980. And if you had a bad reaction then, you're probably not now. And guys, even if you thought that this was against Donald Trump or the Democrats, this is the whole worldwide.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Well, what can we just get through this and then we can play the conspiracy theory game of who caused it after? I'm on board with that. Yeah,
when a Netflix documentary comes out, we'll figure that out then. But now let's get through this as a nation and let's figure this out. Now, with that being said, do you think we'll ever be able to get back to normal? Is there a back to normal after this, or is
I don't know. Is there a
situation like 9/11?
I think it's going to be a new normal. So I don't know. And you and I have talked about this too. Some of these recommendations about, when you're sick, staying away from people or not coming into work and making sure to wash your hands are things that we should be doing all the time anyways.
Anyway, right.
But again, I don't know what things are going to look like after this. We're still just trying to get through it one day at a time.
Yeah, this is so unfortunate, but you have a virtual appointment that you have to get to. And Rebekah Moore, I really appreciate you for for your time. Once again, this is our 6th episode of Friends of the Program. So far, I've had a social media maven. I've had hosts. I've had artists, and now I've had a healthcare specialist on the program. I really have the best friends in the entire world. And what better way to, you know what I'm saying, what better day to talk to you until now. So have fun
And
with your, virtual appointment, and try not to scare your client. Please try not
trying
to
my
scare.
best. They're at home. I'm at home. So this is a best case scenario. And thanks so much for all that you do and trying to make sure this accurate information is out there.
All right. Thank you so much, Rebekah. I'm going to send you those pictures, okay?
Okay. Love you. Bye.
All right. Love you too. Bye.